Hello and welcome to the 8.1 through 8.4 mid-chapter check. You can find this on textbook page 614, and as instructed you should have already completed the page and you should now just be checking it for your understanding and to make sure that you have it all correct. This will also include a brief quiz review at the end of the video. So you should be looking at textbook page 614 now, and this is what it looks like. And then on the first line, it says define sequence. It tells you can find the definition in lesson 2. See, it says that right here. And then it says to give an example of an arithmetic and a geometric sequence. I went ahead and inserted the answer here. It says a sequence is a list of numbers in a specific order. So a sample answer that you could have given was 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8 is an arithmetic sequence, and 2, 4, 8, 16 is a geometric sequence. Because remember, geometric sequences use multiplication, and arithmetic uses addition and subtraction. Geometric also uses multiplication and division. It says fill in the blank in the sentence below with the correct term. A blank is a relation that assigns exactly one output value to one input value. So that is going to be a function. So you want to go ahead and write that there. All right, so you should have a function written there like we've done here. For number 3, it says to complete each function table. So remember what you're going to need to do, this is where you're going to be substituting the 0 that they've given you here for the input value. You're going to substitute that into the formula, or into the function rule. So the first thing you're going to do is write 2. Let me go ahead and 2. And then we're going to substitute that 0 right here. And then we're going to do plus 6. So all this is just being copied as it is. Then what you're going to do is 2 times 0, off to the side we can say 2 times 0 plus 6. 2 times 0 is 0, plus another 6 would leave you with a total of 6. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do the same thing here. I went ahead and changed my pen so that it was a little neater. So now, and actually I'm going to erase this because I want this to be in that pink color because that's where we got the 0 from. So now we're going to write 2, and we're going to now substitute the 1 because we got that 1 right there. And then we're just going to fill in the rest of the function. So it says 2 times 1, so off to the side we can do 2 times 1. Plus 6. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus 6 gives us 8. So our final answer over here for the output is going to be 8. And remember, what that means is in this function rule is that you're saying when x is 0, y is 6. When x is 1, y is 8. So then when x is 2, you're going to go ahead and fill that in. And off to the side, 2 times 2 plus 6. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 6 gives you 10. So when x is 2, y is 10. And remember, just to elaborate on this, from here you can make these ordered pairs for 0, 6, 1, 8, and 2, 10, and then you could plot them on a graph. Number 4 says the same instructions to complete each function table. So we're going to do the same thing that we did before. Okay, so as you can see here, I went ahead and I got the 0 over here where you see the pink arrow, and I plugged it into the function rule, which is right here with the blue arrow. And then once we did all the work over here, I did it in yellow, then we come up with the answer right here of 1. So you can see the 1 right here that I'm pointing to there. So then we went ahead and put the 1 as the output here. So what you're saying is when x is 0, y is 1. Okay, so you can see here that I went ahead and completed 1 and 2. You want to check your answers and make sure that you have the same. Now on the test and quiz, it's going to be very important because the quiz looks almost just like this in 2 parts of it. So you want to make sure that you are filling in the table. See where my blue arrow is right here? You want to make sure that you're filling in that table exactly how I've done right there. And I should see some work probably out to the side. If you notice, my work here is in yellow. I just pointed to it. All right, so this next section says find the rule. I went ahead and wrote the directions here because I had to crop it out of the thing. So in order to find the rule, remember, you're questioning 3 different things. The most common, you're checking to see if you can create a sequence, either an arithmetic sequence or a geometric sequence, or if you can find a pattern in the output values. So the first one we're going to look at, can I find a relationship between x and y? So I'm asking, can I find a relationship between 3 and 6? So right here, is there something I can do to get from 3 to 6? Well, remember, I could add 3 possibly, or I could multiply by 2. So let's go ahead and test it out. So 3 times 2 gives me 6. 3 plus 3 gives me 6. So if I add 3 to 4, then that gives me 7. So I know it can't be the adding 3. So that one can't be. So let's test out the times 2. I'm going to go ahead and erase the arrow now. So to get from 3 to 6, I'm going to multiply by 2. And let's see, 4 to 8, multiply by 2, 5 to 10, multiply by 2. Awesome. So I think I found the relationship. So the rule is going to be, okay, so the rule for this is going to be 2x. Now I want to take just a second to show you that this is the rule. So this is the answer for this problem in the mid-chapter check. So hopefully you got that right. In the quiz, the same type of problem with a table like this, asking you to find, but it's actually asking you to find the function. So if you have this exact same problem and it's saying find the function, it changes it just a little. The function would need to be written like this. Remember, y equals 2x, because the function needs to be written in terms of y. So that's just a side note because it's a little bit different between the mid-chapter check and the actual quiz that you're going to take tomorrow. All right, let's check this one out. All right, so 1 times 3 can get me to 3, but then if I do 2 times 3 here, that should be 6, and it's not, it's 7. So let's go ahead and erase that because we know it can't be multiplication. Then to get from 1 to 3, I can do plus 2. All right, so let's try plus 2 over here. So 2 plus 2 would give me 4, so that's not going to work either. There was one more method that you needed to check, though. It was the last thing that we learned about. So now we need to look at the pattern between 3 and 7 to see if we can find one. To get from 3 to 7, you have to add 4. We have to check and see to get from 7 to 11. 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep, what do you know? Add 4. So what that means is you've established a pattern, so there actually is a function that goes with this. So remember, when you have this plus 4 on the outside like that, that means that you're automatically going to be starting with 4x. Okay, so off to the side though, I'm going to write 4x over here, and then I'm going to plug in this 1 that I just circled. I'm going to circle it in red. I'm going to plug in that 1 right there. So 4 times 1, and then I'm going to look and see what did that give me. Well, 4 times 1 gave me 4, but then I'm going to look and see where I'm actually at. See me circle that in green? I'm actually at 3. So how do I get from 4 to 3? Well, to get from 4 to 3, you actually have to subtract 1. So now in your rule, you're going to say 4x minus 1 is the rule. So let's plug it in just to make sure. Let's plug in this 3 down here. So 4 times 3 minus 1, so that's 12 minus 1, and that gives me 11. So when I plug in 3, I should get 11. 3 and 11. So that there will be a test question. There will be a quiz question almost identical to this. You need to make sure that you're able to find the rule for the 2-step. And again, just one reminder that this says find the rule, which is the 4x minus 1. So that's all you would need for this question. But on the quiz, it says write an equation to represent each function. So it would be y equals 4x minus 1. So don't forget that this is actually the function. This is the equation that matches the function, I should say. All right, and number 7, we're finding the rule still. So let's go ahead and take a look. To get from 2 to 8, I can add 6. But if I add 6 here to 3, I should have 9. So we know it's not going to be add 6. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that. I can also multiply by 4. So let's try and multiply by 4, multiply by 4, multiply by 4. 4 times 2 is 8, but 4 times 3 is 12. So now let's see if we can find a different rule, because that's not going to work either. It's looking like this is going to be another one of those that we have to find out what the pattern is. So to get from 8 to 11, 9, 10, 11, we have to add 3. To get from 11 to 14, we have to add 3. So just as it meant before, remember when we have plus 3, that means that part of our function rule is going to be 3x. Let me go ahead and do that in a brighter color. So 3x is going to be what we start with. And remember, just like we did before, we're going to start with 3x and we're going to plug in, let's say 2. So 3 times 2. And now it should give us 8. But what it actually gives us is 6. So how do we get from 6 to 8? Well, you would have to add 2, right? 6 plus 2 is 8. So that means that your function rule here is going to be 3x plus 2. Now you do want to test it out on another one, so on another one of your values. So let's plug in the 4 and the 4 and make sure we get 14. So we're saying that 3x plus 2 is our rule. So let's plug in 3 times 4 plus 2, and we get 12 plus 2, and that gives us 14. And 14 is, in fact, what we were looking for right there. So you know that your rule is correct. So for this specific problem, your answer is going to be 3x plus 2. But remember, if it's asking you for the equation to represent the function, it would be y equals 3x plus 2. So make sure that you remember that for the quiz, because that is a difference and a distinction. All right, so on number 8, it says Arnold reads an average of 21 pages each day. 21 pages, and remember, there's that word each day again. Remember what I told you about each. It usually means that that's the one that goes with the variable. Then it says, write an equation to represent the number of pages read after any number of days. So, and actually let me do that in a different color. After any number of days. All right, so first we want to define what our variables are going to be. So where it says any number of days, we're going to say that D is equal to the number of days. That makes sense, right? And we can also say that P is equal to the number of pages. That should make sense as well. So now we're going to have to decide which one of these is going to be the independent and which one is going to be the dependent. So like our X and Y value. So which one can we put any number in for? Well, first let's go back to this 21 here. We know that 21, it says Arnold reads an average of 21 pages each day. So if he reads 21 pages every day, then you would multiply that 21 times the number of days, which is D, and then you would get equals the total number of pages. Now you would want to flip that around so that it made sense. So you're going to come up with P equals 21D. For the quiz, you are going to need to be able to take a problem like this and create an equation from it. Okay, number 9 says, the table shows the cost of renting an inner tube to use at the Wave-A-Rama water park. Explain how to write an equation to represent the data in the table. Then it says, give the equation for the data. So let's go ahead and look at our table. So just like we did before when we had the tables, we're going to go ahead and look at the relationships between 2 and 11. So to get from 2 to 11, I could possibly add 9. So 9 plus 2 would be 11. Then let's try it out on 3. 9 plus 3, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the 1650 should be 12, and it's not. So we know that it's not going to be an adding sequence. So now let's look and see if it's going to be multiplication. What can I multiply by 2 to get to 11? Well, I can take $5.50 and multiply that by 2, and I get $11. 5 times 2 is 10, carry the 1, and then you get 11. Okay, so perhaps our relationship here is to multiply by 550. Well, let's see. Is 550, let me change colors here. Is 550 times 3 1650? You get $16.50. So now we've established our relationship. So this is what our equation is going to look like. So y is going to be, so see how we have y right here. So y is going to be equal to 5.5x. And remember, because it's in our equation, it's just 5.5x. It's not 550. It doesn't make a huge difference. It's mainly just a formatting situation. All right, and I went ahead and put the answer for the problem for the explain portion down here at the bottom. You just want to go ahead and take a look there and make sure you have that. It said first find the difference in the output values and the cost. Each value increases by $5.50, so the equation is 5.5x. Since the output is exactly 5.5 times the input value, the equation is y equals 5.5x. All right, and finally we have the brief quiz review at the end. So the first few things that you want to review are on textbook page 583. There will be 2 problems on completing the function table. So I've included examples here from textbook page 583 so that you know what's expected for that portion of the quiz. On textbook page 591, in the quiz, you'll be asked to use words and symbols to describe the value of each term as a function of its position. So you need to know how to explain both the position, which is right here, as well as giving the function, which is right there, and the value, which is right there. So this one, for instance, says the value of the 12th term, and so that's what that 21 goes with there. So you need to be able to know how to do that for at least 2 questions. And on textbook page 599, I've actually included an example from 598 and 599. You'll be given a table with some values in it, and you have to be able to write an equation to represent the function. The reason I included the one from textbook page 598 is because you need to also know how to represent the 2-step equations. So that's included here on the example from 598. And finally, you have a word problem here from textbook page 599. You need to be able to complete a table from the word problem as well as plot the points on a graph. Good luck, and I will see you tomorrow.